Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, I'm always educating myself and tuning into other sales trainers. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. And there's one guy, he's a loan originator from San Diego, California. His name is Martin Lopez. And he wrote a book called The Curiosity Theory, which got me curious. And I listened to him several times on different podcasts, either that he's doing or been invited on. And it's interesting how it's kind of like when you watch a soap opera or, a TV movie, and right at this suspenseful part, they break this commercial. Well, right when he gets to the certain interesting part of the topic, he doesn't really give you the answers. Says, tune in, go to my website, or contact me here, and that ties in with a couple different strategies I see on how to use social media marketing to create leads. You ask people to, you give a little quiz and have put their answer in the subject line. Once they do, you've captured them. But a lot of things he was saying, like, I've heard this before. Where have I heard this before? And there's a speaker, author by the name of Matthew Ferry. And I first heard him at an event in San Diego, California. It was supposed to be Zig Ziglar, but Zig was sick or something. And so this guy, Matthew Ferry, I'd never heard of him, but he starts talking about your subconscious mind. And he called his subconscious mind his drunken monkey. And that was curious to me, because I remember all my Navy SEAL buddies, I don't drink, so I was always the duty driver, and I had to deal with a bunch of drunken SEALs, which is very similar to drunken monkeys, and which made me listen to him. And he wrote a book called Creating Sales Velocity, which I read in the book. And a big part of the book is listening. And you're listening to a couple things there. You're listening to what it is about your prospect or your client to figure out what is most important to them, or where their emphasis is and where their thought process is. Because once you do that, then you can lead them from there somewhere else. But until you figure that out, it's almost impossible. And the big part of it is asking questions. It's not so much talking, it's listening. And you ask a question and you listen for the answer. And there's three different steps where people are at. They're either unaware, and then you have to educate them. And when you're educating them, I remember when I first got in this business, we have a flip chart that we would go through it. This young man had a degree in communications, and he's just smiling and he's going through that flip chart, but he wasn't paying any attention to the people that he was presenting to. I was, and I was looking to see what was catching their interest. It was either going to be the rule of 72, the law of compound interest, or how taxes affect your money, or how the time value of money. Those seem to be the three areas that people would take interest in, some more than others. And I would pay attention to that. But he would just keep going through. He was just good at making that presentation. And I learned as a trainer, I was a master training specialist in the military, and I earned that award teaching boxing to Navy pilots and their crewmen. And they made you teach the IG verbatim. You couldn't deviate a syllable, but you only had to do it like 3 or 4 times before you pretty much had it memorized. And then I didn't have to focus on what I was saying any longer. I could focus on the reaction of the people that I was communicating with. And there would be certain questions that would pop at a certain time. And I was trying to figure out how to change the presentation to address that question. But my department chief, another ex-Navy SEAL, really experienced, told me, if you give them the answer before they ask the question, they won't hear the answer. So that made me stop, but it made me aware of when they ask the question that they're trying really hard to find the answer for, but I knew the answer. I knew the answer to their question before they asked the question. It gave me credibility with them. And the same thing works in sales. The same thing works in financial services. When you listen to somebody and you're listening to their situation and you let them get it out, and then you say, well, if I could show you how we could solve that problem for you, would you be interested? And if they tell you yes, then you just take them to the solution. If you do it before then, you'll just waste your breath. And you have to find out what mode that person's in. Like I said before, they're going to be uninformed. They may be informed but not interested. I catch that with young guys all the time. They don't see any value in life insurance. They don't have kids. They're not married, right? But boy, as soon as they get married and have kids, now that's important to them. And I'm like, well, when do you think you want to get married? 40. Well, your cost of insurance might be a little more expensive then. You might want to get some insurance now and get your money working for you, tax advantage, get the protection, from the market now, and then, make your mom or your dad your beneficiary. When you get married, you can switch that over, but you don't want to wait. So it's giving them a sense of urgency to do that. Then the other category would be somebody who is, they understand, but they're anxious, they're scared. It's taking that anxiety out of it. Right? And you explain to them whatever it is that people want to hear this. There are people that are so many people out there that are curious about this information. There's that word again, curious. Or that, with the solutions that we offer, there's protection from the market. There's protection, there's from the opportunity cost for not getting involved, but then there's market risk, and we can protect you from that, from both of those. So let's get started. So with knowing that now helps me in my delivery of my presentation and getting them to the point where I can help them. Mr. Toastmaster.